My girlfriend looked me in the eye and said, "I need some room. Let us just be friends." I simply answered, "You got it." Right after that, I took her name off every subscription we shared, I demanded her car keys back, and I reset the password for our Netflix account. 72 hours have passed, and now she is banging on my front door like she is desperate. I am a 34-year-old man, and I am currently sitting in a silent apartment for the first time in 4 years. It feels weird. It is not exactly bad, just very quiet. 2 nights ago, my girlfriend of 4 years, Jessica, who is 31, sat me down on the couch we had chosen together. She had that specific expression on her face, the one that looks serious but also emotionally detached. My stomach hit the floor. "I think we need to talk," she began. I know, it is such a glitch. She went on for 10 minutes or so, talking about her own personal growth, how she felt suffocated, and how she needed to find herself again. It was a speech she had clearly practiced, filled with psychological buzzwords and vague sayings. The final point was delivered with a gentle, almost pitying smile. "I think we should just be friends," she said. "I need some space. I have seen this movie before. I have read the forum posts. The standard move here is to get emotional, to beg, or to ask what I did wrong. I felt the pain, do not get me wrong. It felt like a solid punch to the gut. But looking at her, and seeing that rehearsed sincerity, something inside me just snapped into place. This was not a negotiation. It was a declaration. So, I did not cry. I did not raise my voice. I just nodded my head slowly and said, "Okay, if that is what you want." She seemed surprised. "Oh, well, good. I am glad you are being so mature about this." She told me she would stay at her friend Sarah's house for a few days to give us both some room to breathe. She packed a bag for the night, gave me a quick, uncomfortable hug, and walked out. The second the door clicked shut, I let out a breath I did not realize I had been holding. The hurt was right there, a dull thumping in my chest. But underneath that feeling was a strange sense of clarity. Friends. She wanted to be friends. Okay. So, I decided to handle the situation with the exact logistical reality she had suggested. We were friends now, not partners. Therefore, our lives needed to be separated. I am a methodical guy. I like making lists. I opened up my laptop and started one. First came the shared subscriptions. I went through my credit card statements. The big ones were simple to find. Netflix, the Spotify family plan, and the meal kit delivery service we both really liked. I own the master accounts for all of those. I changed the passwords. Then, I went into the Spotify plan and removed her account. For the food delivery service, I just canceled the subscription entirely. It was scheduled to renew the next day anyway. The cost savings came out to roughly $110 a month. Then there was the car. This was the big issue. About 2 years ago, Jessica's old car died. I had just received a promotion at work, so I bought a new, reliable sedan. The vehicle is entirely in my name. The title, the loan, and the insurance are all on me. She was the primary driver because I work from home and barely use it. For all intents and purposes, it was her car in practice, but my car on paper. A friend does not drive a car that I am legally and financially responsible for. The liability regarding the insurance alone is a total nightmare. I sent her a text message. It was not angry, just factual. "Hey, since we are taking space and figuring things out as friends, I am going to need the car back. The insurance is a bit complicated if a non-resident is the main driver. Let me know when is a good time for me to get the keys. I can come to you." Then there is the apartment. We live in my apartment. My name is the only one on the lease agreement. She moved in 2 years ago. There are no legal strings attached there, which is a massive relief. I did not change the locks yet. I figured I would give her a chance to come get her things like a normal person. I did all of this calmly over the course of about 1 hour. It was not about revenge. It was about boundaries. It was about accepting the new reality she had created for us. If we are just friends, then this is what being just friends looks like. The text about the car was sent about 48 hours ago. She read it, but there was no reply. The meal kit service sent her an email saying the account was cancelled. She would have discovered the Netflix and Spotify passwords did not work the very first time she tried to use them. It has been radio silence until right now. There is a knock at the door. It is not a normal knock. It is fast, sharp, and insistent. I know it is her, and based on the sound of it, she is not here to be my friend. Here is update number 1. Thank you for all the comments and direct messages. It is wild how many people have been through something similar. It helps to know I am not crazy for reacting the way I did. I took a long, deep breath to steady myself before dealing with the pounding at the door. I walked over and peered through the peephole. Sure enough, it was her. Jessica looked rattled. Her hair was all over the place, and her face was scrunching up in irritation. I pulled the door open. She did not even say hello. She just shouted, "What the hell is your problem?" I leaned my shoulder against the doorframe and played it cool. I am not really sure what you mean, Jessica. My Spotify account kicked me off right in the middle of a song, she yelled. The Netflix password does not work, and now you are demanding I bring the car back. What exactly are you doing? I kept my tone level and calm. I am doing exactly what you asked me to do. You told me you wanted space. You said you wanted to be friends. Friends do not share streaming passwords or pay for each other's vehicles. I am just cleaning things up. She stared at me with her mouth hanging slightly open, looking like I had started speaking Chinese. Cleaning things up. I said I needed some space, not that you should destroy our whole life. I need that car to get to work tomorrow. I get that it is inconvenient, I told her, and honestly, I did understand. But the sedan is my property, and it is my liability. I cannot have someone who does not live here acting as the primary driver. It is strictly an insurance issue. You can come get your belongings from the apartment whenever you want. Just give me a heads up so I can make sure I am home. That is when the entitlement really showed up. My belongings. We live here together, and that is my car. You bought that vehicle for me. I corrected her gently. I purchased it while we were in a committed relationship. That relationship has ended. According to you, we are buddies now. This is me treating you like a buddy. She threw her hands up in the air in frustration. This is insane. This is not how you treat a friend. This is petty and vindictive. My God, Mark was right about you. Bingo. There it was. The name hung in the air between us. Mark. He was her friend from the office. The guy she had been grabbing drinks with after work a little too frequently for the last 2 months. The guy whose name popped up on her screen at all hours of the day. My gut had been screaming about Mark for weeks, but I had pushed the feeling down because I trusted her. I must have let some emotion show on my face, because she tried to walk it back immediately. That is not what I meant. Who is Mark, Jessica? I asked, keeping my voice quiet. He is just a friend from work, she stammered. He has been really supportive through all of this. Through all of what? I asked. Your decision to end our 4-year relationship. You are twisting my words, she snapped back. I just needed a break, a little bit of space, and you go and do all of this. You are trying to control me, just like he said you would. So, that was the truth of it. This new guy, Mark, had been whispering in her ear, painting me as some controlling villain, probably so he could swoop in. She wanted the thrill of a new romance without giving up the comfort and stability I provided. She had cooked up this let us be friends plan so she could put me on a shelf. She thought she could keep using my car, my apartment, and my money while she test drove a new relationship. The sheer nerve of it was breathtaking. I held out my hand. "The car keys," I said. She looked from my hand to my face, her eyes full of disbelief and rage. She actually scoffed at me. "No. I need it." "I will ask you one more time, nicely," I said. "Please give me the keys to my car." She crossed her arms defiantly. "And what are you going to do if I do not?" "Call the police." "That would be a great look for you." I did not even blink. "Okay." I pulled my smartphone out of my pocket. I did not dial 911. Instead, I opened the official app for my car. I located the vehicle on the map. It was parked right down the street. With 3 taps of my thumb, I remotely locked the doors and activated the panic alarm. The horn started blaring instantly. It was a piercing, relentless sound cutting through the quiet evening. Her eyes went wide. People walking on the street turned to look. "What did you do?" she shrieked. "The car is now locked, and the alarm is armed," I told her. "It will continue until I turn it off. The next thing I can do is report it stolen. It is in my name, remember. The police will find you driving it, and that will be a very awkward conversation for you to have. So, for the last time, hand over the keys." She stared at me, her chest heaving up and down. The car alarm was still wailing down the block. She looked defeated and utterly humiliated. She dug into her purse, her movements jerky and angry. She slammed the keys into my palm. I tapped my phone screen, and the alarm stopped. The sudden silence was deafening. "Now," I said, my voice ice cold. "You need to get your things. You have 48 hours to schedule a time with me. After that, I am changing the locks." She just stared at me with pure hatred in her eyes. Without saying another word, she turned around and stormed off down the sidewalk. I watched her go, and then I closed the door. My hands were trembling. It was not because I was scared, but because of the adrenaline pumping through my veins. This was not just a breakup anymore. This had turned into something else entirely. And I had a feeling it was far from over. Here is update number 2. The past week has been a masterclass in escalating entitlement and delusion. I feel like I am a character in a movie I never auditioned for. The 48-hour deadline came and went. Jessica did not call, she did not text, there was just total silence. So, exactly as I promised, I called a locksmith and had the locks on my apartment changed. It cost me $250, but the peace of mind was priceless. I also installed a small, discreet security camera in my living room, pointing it directly at the front door. A little voice in my head told me it would be a good investment. That little voice was right. The day after I changed the locks, the first dirty trick happened. I received a phone call from the fraud department of my credit card company. Apparently, someone had tried to report my card as stolen. They went through the automated system, but because some of the security questions were answered incorrectly, the request was flagged for review. I confirmed that the card was in my possession, and they added extra security notes to my account. Trick number 2 was far more serious, and it happened 2 days later. I received a calendar invite for a mandatory meeting from Human Resources. The subject line just said follow-up conversation. My boss, Steve, and a woman from Human Resources named Linda were on the invite. My stomach twisted into a knot. I walked into the small conference room, and they were both there looking very serious. "This is not going to be a casual chat," Linda started, her voice neutral and professional. "Thanks for coming in. We have received an anonymous communication that contains some serious allegations regarding your conduct outside of work. Under company policy, we are obligated to make you aware of it and discuss it. She turned her laptop around. It was an email from a burner account sent to both her and Steve. It painted me as unstable, controlling, and prone to aggressive outbursts. It claimed I was harassing my former partner. It was clearly designed to make me look like a liability to the workplace. My blood ran cold, but I forced myself to remain calm. I read it, took a breath, and looked at them. Linda, Steve, this is deeply mortifying, I began. My girlfriend and I broke up last week. It has not been amicable. This email is a malicious and false retaliation from her because I took back my car and cancelled our shared subscriptions after she ended things. The person described in that email is not me. Steve, who had been quiet, leaned forward. Linda, I have managed this man for 4 years. He is one of my most level-headed team members. We have had stressful deadlines and difficult clients, and I have never seen anything but professionalism from him. This email is the complete opposite of the employee I know. Linda nodded as she listened. She looked back at me. Do you believe this will escalate further? Is there any risk of this spilling into the workplace? No, I said firmly. I have taken steps to secure my home and my finances. I believe this was an act of desperation on her part. It will not happen again, and it will certainly not affect my work. Linda closed the laptop. Okay. We are documenting this incident and your response. Given your work history and Steve's testimony, we are considering this a malicious personal matter. We see no reason for further action at this time, but we want it to be transparent. The Employee Assistance Program is available if you need support. I left that meeting feeling rattled, but relieved. She had tried to attack my livelihood. This was not a game anymore. That night, my new camera paid for itself. At around 11 o'clock at night, I got a motion alert on my phone. I opened the live feed and watched, my heart pounding, as the doorknob to my apartment slowly turned. Someone was trying to use a key. It jiggled, then stopped. Then a few seconds later, it tried again. It was Jessica. When the key did not work, she just stood there for a full minute, staring at the door before leaving. I saved the footage. This was the final straw. She had tried to mess with my job. She tried to enter my home. This was no longer about being the bigger person. This was about self-preservation. I needed something decisive, something that would sever the last tie and expose the truth in a way she could not twist. And then I remembered her parents. Jessica's parents, Robert and Mary, are good people. They are old school, practical, no-nonsense types. They always liked me. When I purchased the vehicle, her parents had generously given us, as a couple, $5,000 to put toward the down payment. It was a gift given under the assumption that they were supporting our future together. I hesitated for a moment. Bringing them into this felt like I was crossing a line, but she had already crossed so many more. I typed out a text message to her father, Robert. Hi, Robert. I hope you and Mary are doing well. I am writing this because, as you may or may not know, Jessica and I have ended our relationship. I am making arrangements to sell the sedan, and I wanted to make sure I return the $5,000 you both so generously contributed to it. It does not feel right for me to keep the money under these circumstances. What is the best way for me to get that money back to you? I hit send. My phone screen lit up less than 5 minutes later. Robert. What are you talking about? Jessica told us you two were just having a small fight. Give me a call. I took a deep breath and dialed his number. The game was about to change. Here is the final update. It is over. It is truly, finally over. The last few weeks have been like watching a slow-motion explosion, and I am just now walking out of the smoke. The phone call with Robert was tense. I laid every single detail out calmly and factually. I told him about the breakup, the car, the cancelled subscriptions, the malicious emails sent to my boss, and finally, the video of her trying to open my door. I offered to send him the proof. There was a long silence on the line. "Mary and I are coming down," he said, his voice sounding strained. "We need to understand exactly what is going on. We will be there tomorrow." The next day, they met me at my apartment. They looked worried and exhausted. Mary was fighting back tears, and Robert looked grim. They were polite to me, but very reserved. I could tell they were torn. They wanted to believe their daughter, but they were being confronted with my serious accusations. "We just want the full picture," Mary said softly. "Jessica is our daughter. She is very upset and says you are misinterpreting everything." "I understand," I said. "Words can be misinterpreted. Video footage is a lot harder to argue with." I showed them the footage from my security camera on my laptop. I watched their faces as they saw their daughter stealthily trying to use a key on my door late at night. Mary put a hand over her mouth. Robert's face turned into stone. "I want to believe there is an explanation for this," Robert said, though his voice lacked any real conviction. "Then let us ask her," I suggested. I pulled out my phone. "Why don't you call her right now? Put it on speaker." Robert looked at me, then at his wife, and nodded. He dialed her number. "Hi, Dad." Her voice came through the speaker, sounding cheerful. Too cheerful. "Jessica," Robert said, his voice flat. "Your mother and I are at James's apartment." The silence on her end was immediate. "What? Why?" "He has shown us a video of you from last night trying to get into his apartment with an old key." "I need you to explain that to me right now." "What? That is crazy. I was not doing that. I was just checking on him." "I was worried," she stammered, the panic clear in her voice. "You were worried at 11 o'clock at night and used a key you should not have, without calling or knocking first." Robert pressed. "He is twisting things. He is trying to make me look bad. He stole my car." She shrieked, her voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "He is offering to pay us back the $5,000 we gave you for it," Robert said coldly. "Which is something you failed to mention. Just like you failed to mention you were dumped, and that this was not just a small fight." "What is going on, Jessica?" Her story completely fell apart live on speakerphone. She started crying, accusing me, and trying to deflect the blame. It was a total train wreck. Robert finally cut her off. "We will talk about this later. Do not move." He hung up the phone and looked at me, his face etched with a mixture of fury and deep embarrassment. "I apologize," he said. They summoned her to the apartment. When she arrived 20 minutes later and saw them sitting there, her face went white. The final confrontation was not a shouting match. It was a surgical procedure. Her parents, armed with the facts and her own self-incriminating phone call, calmly took her apart. Her lies about staying with Sarah, about Mark being just a friend from work, and about me being the villain, it all came out. The consequences were quiet and brutal. Her parents told her they were ashamed of her deceit. They demanded she pay them back the $5,000 herself, and they cut off all other financial support. She was told to arrange the removal of her belongings within 48 hours, and to do it without their help. She was completely on her own. Jessica sat there looking totally hollowed out. The fight was gone from her eyes. She had constructed her entire plan on a foundation of lies, and I had simply kicked out the main support beam. A professional moving crew showed up the very next day. I assumed she paid for them with a credit card. She waited inside the truck while they cleared out her belongings quickly and without any emotion. The process of actually selling the sedan took about 2 weeks. I received a few lowball offers before an online dealership finally gave me a fair price. They came and picked it up from the parking lot of my building yesterday. The second the funds cleared in my account, I transferred the $5,000 to Robert and Mary. Robert sent a short reply. It said, "We are deeply sorry for all of this. We wish you the best. I have blocked Jessica, Mark, and anyone else connected to them. I have absolutely no idea what their current situation is. And the most freeing feeling in the world is the fact that I genuinely do not care. The silence in my apartment does not feel strange anymore. It feels like peace. It is the sound of a chapter of my life, one that was filled with drama I never asked for, finally and mercifully coming to an end."